Thanks for joining us. Now, Chairman of the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union, George Nyaonu, feels his life is in danger following threats from some members of the union. George Nyaonu says the members have threatened to attack him should he attend a meeting scheduled between the Energy Ministry, National Petroleum Authority, NPA, and the tanker drivers this morning. According to him, his members no longer trust him to address the issues facing their work. The petroleum tanker drivers have declared a nationwide strike this morning, hiding fears of possible fuel shortage nationwide over what they term as poor working conditions. Addressing the press this morning, chair of the association said members are so outraged over the lukewarm attitude of government towards their demands.
We are law-abiding people in this country, right? And based on that, I decided to attend the meeting, all right, with the minister. But with what is happening now, me myself, my life is at risk, all right. So I don't know how they will take it from there. I said maybe I refuse to. No, I wish I would be there. But look at what the members are doing. The phone call, the phone self they have been collected from me. What they are telling me is, anytime they decided to go to strike, I call them, talk to them, they calm down because of the respect they have for me and the union. But now it looks as if I've been taking bribe from NPA. That is why I connived with NPA for not implementing their salary and then this other gas shortage issue.
Let's go on to the phone lines now and speak with my colleague, MFA Nancy Richard Dorsey, who is currently in Tema for more. MFA, describe the situation at the Tema oil refinery for us. Right, MFA, good morning. Describe the situation as the Tema oil refinery.
Hi, Daniel. If you can hear, there's so much noise at the background. I mean, because right now the tanker drivers are preventing a similar car that they drive to operate today. So the situation is that those who are demonstrating today are those who actually deal in fuel. And so the gas counterparts, they're actually working. And so the cars are trying to go out to work. And they are being stopped by the drivers here. The police are currently here trying to, calm the situations. But it looks like things, the tensions rather here are so high. Initially, when we got so you can hear gunfire shot. Someone is shot at the background. The police are just shooting warning shots into the air to disperse the angry crowd, to allow the gas cars to actually to leave their premises here. So the situation here is very, very chaotic, I must say. People are actually running, people are dispersing. The situation, Daniel, I must say, people are throwing stones, people are peddling stones around. The police are already carrying some people away. The situation here, I can just say that it's chaotic at that moment.
Well, MFA, in the first place, try and get to a safe place so nothing untoward happens to you. But quickly, we understand the tanker drivers have threatened to attack the chair of their union if he meets the Energy Ministry and the NPA over their grievance. From what you've been telling them, do we know why they want to vent their anger on the chair? I
could hardly get anything.
Right, MFA, what we are asking is that the tanker drivers have threatened to attack their union chairman. Can you confirm this?
Well, yeah, the chairman came here earlier today, and he was actually very sad at a point. He wanted to shed tears because he says earlier in the morning the tanker drivers union seized his phone and preventing him from placing any calls. And as it stands, his life is really in danger. In fact, he mentioned that he's so threatened that he actually just wants to really let go of the job so that, whatever want to happen can't go in place. And so the chairman is very, very, very disturbed. He was here earlier on. He told them that he wants to go and meet the NPA and the appropriate stakeholders. But they prevented him. They said if they want the NPA, he wants to have a meeting with the NPA. The NPA and the other stakeholders should come to them and treat them as equal as in the oil industry.
Right, MFA, you were mentioning earlier that the police found reason to fire warning shots. What's the size of the police team there? And what's the situation? What's the reaction of these drivers now that you say they are throwing stones?
Right now, the drivers, all of us standing here at the premises, I'm just trying to find a better place to stand. But everybody here is dispersed. The policemen, I can say they are up to 15. And the tanker drivers were more. I mean, they were, I can say, so about 70, almost 100. And so, Daniel, the situation is serious. They're all holding the gun, standing around here. The tanker drivers have all dispersed. Initially, when we got here, the national security, we understand, came out with an AK-47. But the tanker drivers chased him out. almost beating him. And so I think they called for police reinforcement. And so the policemen are here trying to calm the area.
Are the gas tanker drivers able to work now, or if the situation is still volatile?
No, the tanker drivers are still on the strike. In fact, they're not going to call off the strike anytime soon until all their concerns, they say, will be addressed.
Referring to those tanker drivers who they prevented from entering the yard, are they still there? Are they still willing to work?
Okay, no, so those who are still operating are those with the gas sector. They are trying to enter tour and come out, but they were stopped. It was in the moment that they wanted to stop the situation that the policemen came out to this place. So the drivers who drive for the gas sector, they are actually not on strike, just as the fuel people.
Right. Thank you very much, MF Nancy Jadosi. She is currently stationed at the Tema Oil Refinery, bringing us the latest there. And the latest, as you heard, was that some warning shots have been fired by the police in an attempt to disperse the crowd. We'll go back to that story when there's more to report. But before that, enough with the laws on women and gender in the books. Take them to the classroom as part of the education curriculum at all stages. That's a call by former First Lady Nana Konadu-Agyeman-Rawlings for enhancement of women empowerment. She observes there are too many laws on gender and women which are hardly implemented for the desired impact. Mrs. Rawlings was speaking at a women empowerment event in Kumasi. Prince Apia reports.
Legal analysts have often said Ghana is good at enacting so many laws but falls short of implementing them. At a program dubbed W3 Summit, the former First Lady pointed out it is time to take education on women and gender a step further.
I think that every generation thinks that we are starting women's empowerment programs all over again. But if the laws that have been passed for women and children are being propagated in the schools, taught in the schools, even on the TVs, every few minutes give us one law that is going well. Let us all learn about the laws in all the languages, not only in English. It will help generations to know that these things have been done. So we should not be perpetuating the negative things going on. It depends on how you look, you see it. I believe that the empowerment of women is not just when you talk about it. It is the structures you put in place. It is educating people who don't understand why women should be empowered. That will help us to change.
Mrs. Rawlings also charges the media to use their platform to intensify public education and advocacy on the laws.
All these things have to be looked at. These sexual connotations that are put vis-a-vis women, they have to stop. So we have to educate people on good behavior. How were we brought up? Upbringing is paramount. In education and even in the home, we should go back to the basics. Let's go back to the old-fashioned way that our grandmothers and our mothers taught us.
Ghana's first female Brigadier General in the Ghana Armed Forces, Constance Ejieni Afenu, was in attendance. She advised hundreds of students and participants to stay focused and work hard in their respective chosen career. W3 Summit is an annual assembly of distinguished women who are making impact in various fields to inspire the younger ones. Founder is 23-year-old Winifred Selby.
So basically this summit is to empower young girls to break cultural limitations, to be whoever that they want to be without compromising. The stage at which you have gotten to, you think that there are a lot of challenges, whether financially, whether the society is looking down on you. Please put yourself together, be bold, be confident, and then pursue your dreams. Women, our generation, most of our young girls are depending too much on the men. The person is not yet married to you, my sister. He's buying your bills, he's paying your water bill, he's buying credits for you, he's fixing your hair, he's renting an apartment for you. You are depending on them too much. When it happens like that, you lose your value and your respect as a woman. That's why the main purpose is to empower women with cultural limitations, to raise economically independent women, and then to raise female future leaders for 21st century challenges.
Prince Apia reporting.
Now, Mango Tideke is a community where water is randomly easy to find in the ground. But in the following report, we'll tell you why the people lack potable water, while the district assembly has clean water flowing through taps, some of which is used to flush their toilets. Joy News' Gifty and Apia has been following developments in this village for close to 6 years and now reports on the water situation as part of Joy News' Safe Water Project, an agenda to shine the light on the lack of potable water in communities across the country.
My first visit to Mango Tideke in the Agoti Meziope district in the Volta region was in 2012. Profiling the community, we discovered many problems, including the lack of access to safe water. Residents used very dirty water. Amidst dozens of young men here, they draw water from here, they say. It's a tiny stream covered with weeds. Water is supposed to be colorless, but this has a light brownish color. It looks just like milkless tea. I doubted they actually drank this water.
You have all these weeds on top of it. How do you fetch it? Or you stop using this water?
No, we are using. There is no water that we can get around this community. Some 2 years ago, that's the nurses train the community man to pour in a medicine before you usually drink it. But as the Guinea One program has ended, there is nothing going on like that.
As of 2012, the Guinea One program was ended, and this water is no longer treated at source. They just simply gulp it down. They show me a donated borehole which has been there for the past 2 years. Not a single drop of water has come through it. At the time, the DCE's residents that's less than a kilometer from the village had clean treated water flowing through taps. They even have water closet toilets. So I engaged the DCE at the time, Michael Ajaho, on what's been done for the people.
I gave them a borehole. A borehole was provided to them
By an NGO?
By an NGO through my efforts. But unfortunately, it hit a rock. That is a Adaklu rock, which passes on the ground. So if you're not careful and you drill, if you're not lucky, you will not get the water. So that was what happened. I sent the engineers to the place, and what we got to know was that the water surface is not sufficient for water to come up there. We gave them water, but the water is not functioning. The borehole is not functioning.
I have come back to Mango Tideke in 2018 to find out what has changed. The stream from which they drew water has been made a mini dam by someone who bought the land looking to start a plantation. She has forbidden them from coming close to her dam.
They drilled a borehole for us, but the water isn't flowing. When the women go to fetch water, they struggle to get even 2 pans full. It's a worry to us. We travel long distances, and sometimes we don't even get water at all. But that's all we have.
The new borehole he is referring to is close by, and I find a woman struggling to get water from it, with pans lined up in a queue. They tell me these big pans have been here for over a week. Their fruitless efforts have led them to another source of water in the bush.
We drink and bathe with it. It is dirty, but our only option. The borehole doesn't flow. Sometimes we filter this water for use. When I see the DCE, I'll tell him to come and use this water. If it's not good for him, then he should drill another borehole for us.
Maupamo is a mother of 4. She has come to fetch water from this irrigation dam. The water here is worse than what they drew from the previous stream they showed me in 2012. If that water looked like milkless tea, this water looks like a millet beverage. It is a brownish cocktail of soil, rotten wood and water.
And I'm not quite sure how the people here treat it before they drink it. But whichever way you treat it, I'm not sure drinking this water is good. The last 5 years that I was here, the water they were drinking was better than this. For now, these people have had to make do with this water. Well, the DCE says The people of Mango Tideke are in the district assembly's budget for 2018. Hopefully, they'll have a proper borehole that flows with water. For this quality of water, Maupamo and her friends have walked about 2 kilometers to and fro. They do this more than twice every day. Back in the village, the water is being put to use as women get busy in open kitchens, mostly preparing the local dish, akpele. And while they contend with this dirty water, despite promises made them by authorities, the government has changed, and a new chief executive is in charge at this district.
They came to me with their problems, numerous, water. They even want school for their upkeep. In the process of our budget, we captured those facilities, borehole, that we can spread to the villages around. We did that and we catered for them.
As I traveled back to the city, I kept wondering how toddlers like this boy I found playing in this water and these children taking a shower in this pan get used to what looks like and is actually polluted water. Gifty Ando Apia, Joy News, Mango Tideke.
Still watching Joy News today, I am Daniel Daz. The stories we've done so far. Police fire warning shots to disperse angry tanker drivers gathered in front of the Tema oil refinery, protesting poor working conditions. Still up ahead, we bring you fresh revelations in ongoing StarTimes contract controversy as former communications minister Dr. Edward Omani Boamah cites the Chinese TV operator for fraudulent representation in a bid to hold on to a previous contract. We have details as pressure mounts on governments to grant incentives to local broadcasters. We'll be back with more. Thanks for staying with us. Now, there are fresh revelations in the ongoing StarTimes contracts controversy as a former communications minister, Dr. Edward Omani Boamah, has cited Chinese TV operator StarTimes for making fraudulent representations. Dr. Omani Boamah, in a statement released earlier today, says StarTimes, in an attempt to hold on to the contract to build the digital terrestrial television DTT platform, introduced some individuals as Chinese officials, which turned out to be false. There have so far been concerns by various individuals that government's grant of a tax waiver to StarTimes in execution of a satellite distribution contract will create an equal playing field for local players. Government, however, disagrees. There is more in the following report.
It was clear from the onset of the discussion on Newsfile that the unending disagreement between government, the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association and other individuals on what role StarTimes will be playing won't end soon.
Excuse me, I don't want to confuse issues here. Who is giving sweetheart deals to Chinese companies?
You are.
You did.
You are.
You did.
Signing a $95 million deal that we do.
For the Media Foundation for West Africa, government may well end up favoring a Chinese company. Suleiman Abrahima is executive director.
In terms of the issues that have been raised by Geba, first of all, I would be interested in hearing from the minister why, for example, that tax waiver was extended to the Chinese entity.
What tax waiver?
Well, unless that is not true, that StarTimes, the project that they are coming to execute in terms of the 300 villages project.
Listen to him, madam.
You know, there has been a tax waiver, and as we all hear this morning, to the tune of about $3 million
Former Communications Minister Dr. Edward Omane-Boamah wrote on Facebook, quote, Mr. President, instead of offering tax waivers to StarTimes China, your government should extend the exemption of GIBA from the payment of DTT fees as granted under the Mahama administration, end quote. It appears this may not happen as the current minister fought off such a suggestion from the Media Foundation for West Africa.
That was a news desk report. Now, former Communications Minister Dr. Edward Omane-Boamah wants governments to make public all agreements signed with StarTimes. Here are extracts from a statement he released earlier.
Assumed office as Minister for Communications and worked actively and tirelessly with stakeholders with the hope of achieving 17th June 2015 deadline. In the spirit of South-South cooperation, best efforts were exerted. Cautions to StarTimes, the Chinese ambassador to Ghana and every relevant stakeholder about how lethargic the process of securing financing was delaying the project. In response, several assurances were given. Shamefully, they included a fake working visit to the Ministry of Communications by a team of Chinese officials who were fraudulently introduced by the representative of StarTimes China as being on a mission to conduct further due diligence on the DTT project. This was revealed as untrue during my meeting with the then chairman and president of the China Exim Bank in Beijing in June 2014. Chinese government is supporting StarTimes to penetrate the African market. What is the government of Ghana doing to promote Ghanaians in broadcasting? I contend that instead of adopting high-handedness as a tool to whip groups and individuals who do not support the StarTimes deal, government should consider doing the following. Immediately ensure mutually beneficial agreements with all stakeholders in order to recalibrate the pathways for the DTT process. Publish any agreements entered into with StarTimes on the 300 Villages project, and if none exist, take urgent steps to ensure appropriate regulatory oversight without providing undue advantage to StarTimes, which is already an actor in Ghanaian broadcasting. Extend the Mahama government exemption of broadcasters from paying fees while they use the DTT platform for 2 more years. Offer tax waivers on equipment to broadcasters as they have done for StarTimes, as and when the need arises.
That was an extract of a statement signed by former Communications Minister Dr. Edward Omane-Boamah. Officials of StarTimes has turned down our request to comment on the matter. But here is Communications Minister Ursula Osu-Ekufo shooting down accusations that her ministry is giving sweethearts deals to the Chinese media firm StarTimes, reporting to an allusion by MP for Ningo Pram Sam Jata George. On Newsfile last Saturday, the minister said the previous government also engaged a Chinese firm that did shoddy work on the current building that is housing her ministry.
If you sit here and you say the ministry is giving sweetheart deals to Chinese companies, I have news for you. Ministry of Communications building, yes, that was built by a Chinese company. And the company was paid 70% mobilization upfront. And its subcontractors bolted with the money. The building that we live in, which we have occupied for less than 2 years, is falling apart. And you are comfortable making allusions to that?
That's maybe
you are
this is why you should not be handing our DTT platform to a Chinese company.
Excuse me. I don't want to confuse issues here. Who is giving sweetheart deals to Chinese companies?
You are.
You did.
You are.
You did.
Signing a $95 million deal that we do.
Did I hear you say, when you announced that you have news for GIBA, did I hear you say that the regime that we understood was to encourage these businesses for them to stay afloat, where they were to be hosted for free for a period?
They have been.
Okay. That you're going to review that and that now they will have to pay.
They are all aware that they will have to pay at some stage.
Okay.
That platform has to be self-sustaining. It's not a charity.
Okay.
But Madam, you say you circulated the draft policy. The stakeholders have not received any draft policy.
Sorry.
We're coming to a meeting and we don't even have a copy of the policy document we are coming to discuss in 10 days' time.
Okay, thank you. There's a question that's being asked that
now, equipment at the collapsed Ave Maris Factory continue to deteriorate following what residents say is neglect by government after it halted operations 3 years ago. Now, the state has a 60% stake in the company through Ghana Commercial Bank and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, but it has not worked for about 3 years now. The residents are asking government to revamp the factory to help provide jobs and reduce the country's dependence on imported rice. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo visited the site and filed this report.
The company was revived in 2007 following long years of dormancy after it first collapsed as Quality Grains Company. At the height of its operations, the Pre Volta Limited, known popularly as the Ave Maris Factory, employed more than 300 people on its farms and rice milling sites. The company produced almost 9,000 tons of paddy rice a year, which it sold under the brand name Volta Rice, with jasmine perfumed and Syrah varieties. But Proud Texas says government refusal to take responsibility for worn-out equipment made it impossible for them to attract fresh investment. John Van Dyke Mensah is one of the U.S. investors.
It's all because of failed government promises and deceptions, starting from the word go. The assets that the government brought in were way overvalued. Various attempts to try to revalue the assets to bring it to its realistic market value to reflect on our balance sheet have failed. The assets were valued at $8 million. Why should that be a loan in your balance sheet? We also revalued the assets again. We valued the assets about $1.2 million.
The company closed down eventually in 2015. Heavy-duty machinery used on the farms are all sitting down idle. Irrigation pumps, equipment for planting, harvesting, dehusking and polishing of rice are all deteriorating. Planting and plowing tools as well as an aircraft that was used for spraying have all been left without use. The 3,000 metric ton storage tank for rice is rusting away.
They're rusting because you've not been using it for a long period of time. If you are continuously using it will not be rusting like this because there's a constant heat that is going through the system. So the oxygen does not attach to the metal to create alcohol, to react with it.
Inside the processing facility are world-class equipment left to rot.
So all that you see in the background here are part of the processing equipment. When all is said and done, right from the field and the cleaning up and the polishing all happens and the milling all happens, it then gets into this room, and through these equipments, the final process of getting it cleaned up and getting the rice bagged happen into what is described as the Volta rice before it eventually is sent out onto the market.
They are not in good shape. Some have been left at the mercy of the weather because we don't have enough shelter to keep them under.
The 720 hectares of irrigated land on which rice was grown is all bushy now. The water pumps have been left at the mercy of the weather. The residents lament collapse of the company has left them without jobs.
When
the rice factory was operating here, we got some of the rice for our own consumption. Now, even what to eat is a problem.
Ghana spends more than $400 million importing rice annually, and a revamp of this factory could probably help reduce the loss of foreign exchange. For Joy News, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, Ave Maris.
And I am Daniel Dazi here in Accra. Still watching Joy News today. Sandra Esenam Ahenu is standing by with business.